So obviously there's more to this, but scientists think that gossiping was actually like our language developed over the idea of gossiping. Like it was because basically gossiping, like, it filters out the greedy people. Like when you're constantly like talking shitza behind people's back, like it acts as like a kind of filter. So it allowed our bands to get bigger, which increases our probability of survival and stuff like that.
What did you just say? Bands?
Like bands of people, like groups,
okay.
like tribes.
Tribes, yes.
So, yeah, it's kind of interesting that like gossiping. I used to be so like anti-gossiping, but it's like part of us, and it's almost a defense mechanism.
Dude, let me tell you something I've heard about gossiping.
Yeah.
Gossiping, the idea of it, the fundamental idea of gossiping, it goes back to the word you just said, tribalism.
Yeah.
But what it really is, dude.
Yeah.
It creates a sense of trust.
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly. That's what I was basically just saying. I don't know if I was explaining it correctly, but yeah,
it's all about trust.
It's all about trust. And
it's gaining trust.
Yeah, it's gaining trust and making the untrustworthy.
That's what social media is doing.
Dude, social media is doing a lot more than just that.
Of course. But the root is gossip, right? Talking about other people.
Oh, like the Kardashians.
Like that's all social media is. That's all reality. It's gossip.
It's exploiting.
Exploiting gossip.
Yeah. It's exploiting
our natural tendency for gossip.
Yeah.
That's evil.
It's pretty messed up.
That's evil.
But there's money in it, and like people got to support their families. And...
You want to know what it is, John? It's smart.
Yeah, it's smart,
intelligent evil.
I mean, Hitler was hella smart.
Yeah, Trump's hella smart.
Yeah, Trump's hella smart.
Like all these evil people. That's what I hate, dude. I hate evil, smart people. Yeah. That right there, John. That right there. That is my number. Like if I don't think I hate anything more than intelligent evil.
People who use their intelligence incorrectly.
That's what I love about Elon Musk. Seth yesterday told me a lot of like he thinks a lot of like bad thoughts about Elon Musk, about how like kind of eerie he is as a person, as a concept. Yeah. But he is like he's the opposite of intelligent evil. Yeah. He's intelligent good.
He's just trying to do better for the world. And
he's literally trying to just better society and humans as a that's so awesome.
This is kind of, I don't really know if this will sound arrogant or not. But anyways, when I first got into MIT, like, I genuinely, like, had no idea, like, how I got in. Like, genuinely. But, over time, I kind of just, like, kind of forced me to think about myself. And I think again, I don't really know how true this is. I've never really talked to many people about it. But, like, with me, like, I genuinely have this sense, like, I don't care about money. I just want to, like, do good in the world. That's like all I care about. And that's what I was going to talk about, the immortality. Money rots, dude.
Money rots. That's what's up.
What doesn't rot is like your good reputation. That like stays.
That's so true.
And that's what I think like true good immortality kind of is. Just like
think about Shakespeare, bro.
Yeah, seriously.
Immortal reputation.
He's immortal. Yeah, he's immortal. And that's like that.
The greatest writer to ever exist.
Like everyone should strive for. That's what I think.
Dude,
but people get lost.
When I look at artists like Kanye West and when I look at artists like Shakespeare, it makes me want to be better. Yeah. It's something inside me. It's something that I see. I literally want to be a better person because I see this. And I'm like, when I see someone like Elon, I'm like, dude, like, what's my excuse? Yeah. Like, what's my excuse, right? Like, what am I doing?
I just wish more people...
live like you're gonna die. Live like you know you're gonna die.
And kind of just live with that mindset. Immortality is what you do to the world, like your reputation in that sense, not the money. I don't give a... you need money to survive. That's just the way our society works. My quote that I kind of came up with, you kind of have to conform to reform. That's kind of like the way I see it.
Conform to reform.
So you kind of have to...
Conform to reform.
Yeah.
That's
have
deep.
To conform a little to
That's
reform.
deep.
Yeah.
That's good.
But
that's deep, John. That's deep.
Yeah,
conform to reform.
I was reading this Reddit thing, and they were talking. Oh yeah. That's what I was going to talk about. So, Mossy, nothing against, like, I love Mossy. In fact, I found this hecka funny. But after I got accepted, he came up to me and he was like, dude, like, I call 5% of your paycheck. And like, I literally hadn't thought of, like, the money part of it the entire day. Like, that was the first time it had come to my mind. And, like, I found that hella funny. Like, I hadn't even thought about that.
Greed as a concept is pretty hilarious.
But it was just kind of one of those moments where I'm like, dude, like, maybe that's what MIT might have saw in me. That, like, I actually want to do good to the world. I don't care that much about money. But,
John, I love you.
I love you too, man.
I just felt love.
I love you too, dude. Bro. You gotta, at Cal Poly, you gotta spread awareness, man. We all have our purposes.
We all have the power.
Yeah.
Power to the people,
The thing about people like us is we are kind of lucky in the sense that we kind of know what we want to do. People that don't know what they want to do, like, that is a tough situation, and, like,
they should just listen to Alan Watts. Alan Watts explains
it very
clearly.
Keep on searching. They just gotta keep on
searching.
Dude,
I'm telling you, dude. I think there's no such thing as coincidences. I think everything happens for a reason. And I think that, like, the information that comes to me, dude, like Alan Watts, like, my desire to seek out something more than what I have, dude, it changed my life.
I have an amazing Bob Marley quote. It goes something like,
changed my life, John.
Dude, I have to find this quote. Hold up, I'll be right back.
Okay, do you want me to pause it or just riff?
Fine.
I'll riff. So while we're waiting for John, I'm gonna read a song that I wrote that I think is pretty cool. It's just lyrics right now, but I'm gonna turn it into a beat. Okay, it's kind of a diss track on Donald Trump, but it's kind of like just a woke kind of message. All right, tell me what you think about this, John. All right. Hey, Mr. President, I'm here to say, even after all you've done, man, it's still okay. Take a deep breath and pause a minute, a second. Realize in life for most it's a game of catch-up. I know it's hard to believe, but I don't care, you're a troll. You can never quench the minds of the times. Nope, we're on a roll. I know you never seen a black man get on a roll, but you gotta treat us with respect, it's honorable. These times get tough and you say you found truth, but I just want to know, sir, where's the proof? All people created equally seems like bittersweet poetry you can't even read. Wish I could make you watch this and see, and like the Super Bowl, open your eyes and know that you're mind controlled. No matter how far down the path shit goes, it ain't never too late to buy back your soul. It ain't never too late to buy back your soul. I look about as white as Macklemore, but what I'm saying you can't find in a thrift store. My words and my words like an oral tradition. They feel so real, it's like I'm a magician. Your diet of truth off balance like nutrition. People dying in the streets, yo blood, call the mortician.
Dude, that was pretty good. Not gonna lie. Gotta keep up with that. Anyways, I found the quote. So, this is by Bob Marley. Fucking amazing man.
Bob Marley's a god. Shout out Bob Marley.
Everything in life got its purpose, find its reason.
Say that again. Say that again louder, John.
Everything in life got its purpose, find its reason in every season. So, like, he's basically saying that everything happens for a reason, but, like, everything happens the way it is, but you gotta find its reason, which is you can equate that to everything happens for a reason. If that makes any sense. It's kind of like perplexing.
So how should people that don't know their purpose find their purpose, John Mose?
I don't know.
What's
dude.
the first step?
The first step?
What's the first step?
Figure things out that you're interested in and roll with it and just see what happens. You just gotta take that first step. It's the first step.
I tried to spread this knowledge to Elena Naroth's brother and sister yesterday on her birthday. I saw them. And because we did some drive-by. You know how birthdays work now. But they said, they were like, because I was just talking to them. I was talking about, like, conspiracy theories, just, you know, talking my shit, you know?
Yeah.
And they were like, how'd you get so smart? They're like, how do you know all this? And I was like, dude.
YouTube,
and I was
books,
like,
podcasts.
It's YouTube, it's podcasts, it's books, it's knowledge.
Yeah.
But the key is, I'm interested.
Dude, that's exactly
I'm
what
interested
I'm
in
just
everything.
Interested. Yeah. Bro, I'm gonna cry. Dude, I'm the same way. I feel like, okay, so I kind of developed this little exercise. I was at Berkeley. I was just, like, looking around, and I saw this piece of, like, modern art. And that was, like, one of the few things where I thought was, like, so stupid, like, at the time. But I kind of developed this little exercise where, like, I thought there's someone out there that finds this super interesting. So I gotta find, like, what
about this interests me?
What about this interests them, which will probably interest me, since we're all, like, a lot more similar than we really think.
We're all the same.
Yeah.
But continue. Yes.
But so I developed that little thing where basically if I find something to be boring, I think about why, because there are people that are interested in it. So I kind of try to find what makes it interesting to them, because a lot of the times things aren't interesting to people because they don't know what is interesting about it. But if you can figure out what is interesting about it, then you can ride with it, I guess. Like with like history, a lot of people don't really like history.
I love history.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of people really like it. A lot of people, it's fascinating. But for example, if you found yourself not very interested in history, I just feel like you're not really thinking about it right, because it can be boring and repetitive. You kind of just, like, are reading about blah, blah, blah.
Studying,
but,
reading,
like, what a lot of people don't really realize is...
This is real.
Yeah, this actually happened, and it's gonna repeat itself. Like, basically,
that's so
reading
true.
in the past basically kind of makes you a prophet, in some sense. And, like, I feel like everyone kind of wants to be a prophet. That's hella cool.
That is hella cool.
That would be hecka cool.
That'd be cool to be a prophet.
But, like, that's just kind of an example.
I feel like something that childish Donald Glover said in an interview really stuck with me. He was like, that this reporter asked him about Kanye West, and she was like, how do you feel about his new album and, like, everything that's going on with him? And he was like, I have always loved Kanye. Yeah. He's kind of like a prophet. Like, he just makes people want to, like, be better. Because it's because of he lives with this mantra of live like you're gonna die. Yeah. Like, no one lives like that. Yeah. And it's sad.
And no, there are people that live like that, but, like, he just happens to be, like, so famous that, like, people
misjudge him.
Yeah. No, I don't really like when people, like, will shit on him and stuff, like, because, like, dude, he doesn't he have, like, isn't he bipolar?
He's bipolar. He has a lot of issues, and he's famous.
Yeah, dude. And
can you imagine that?
Like, people.
I look up to him, John. He's my biggest inspiration.
I feel like a lot of people don't really know, like, what bipolar disorder can truly do to people.
That's so true.
It makes things so much harder, dude. And the fact that
you're literally just, like, you live and you go through phases of being depressed and crazy.
But, like,
that's all it is.
So people that don't have bipolar disorder can, like, they think of it that way. But, like, no one can actually, like, fathom what it's like to actually, like, have your brain, like,
that's
make
so
you think
true.
that way. No, that's unfathomable. It's you can't really think what it's like to be a dog. It's just because you're not in their brain.
You're not a dog.
Yeah,
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. Because when I listened to Ye this morning. Yeah. And that's the album that he made. The cover says, "I hate being bipolar. It's awesome." Yeah. And so what that means to me is, like, it allows, and what my goal in life is to I thought about this a lot, and it's about capturing the realness, and allowing others to empathize.
That's what's so powerful.
Empathize rather than sympathize. I think people really skew those two concepts, empathy versus sympathy. And I feel like empathy is more of an understanding, whereas sympathy is more of a you feel bad for them. Yeah, and I love that.
Empathy is
I
so
love
harder.
I love it's harder.
Yeah,
so
it's way harder.
Tell me why you think it's harder.
Because, like, it just, I don't know, it just kind of is. Like, you can't be in someone else's brain. You just, like, no one can truly, fully empathize. It's impossible.
There's no such thing as pure empathy.
But you can try your hardest, and that's what I kind of try and do.
Me too, dude.
Majority of the time. But that's what's so powerful about music, and not just, like, talking. Like, talking, you can get a pretty good idea of what that person is thinking about, but there's an extra layer with, like, music and art. Like, with music, you can, like, the texture. Rhythm, there's way more texture. That's the word.
That's good.
It's very, very powerful if you, like, really get into it and listen and, like, feel the music.
You know, I have this necklace, and it's a music note, and the note, it says, music is how feelings sound.
It is. Exactly. It adds texture to your feelings and thoughts. It's crazy. I love music, dude. I'm always listening to music.
Me too, dude.
I've never gotten, like...
Have you ever worked out to Tupac?
Dude, I've worked out to Tupac, Notorious, B.I.G.
It's such an energy.
I've worked out to, like, everything.
It's such an energy. I love working out to Yeezus, because Yeezus makes me feel like a king. I feel like nothing can stop me. Listening to Yeezus and Watch the Throne when I work out is, like... undefeated.
You have to send me your playlists,
dude. I listen. I'm in the works, John, of making new, like, cohesive playlists. Yeah. But really, what I do is I feel like I look at albums that I know that I love that I haven't listened to in a while, and I listen to them all the way through. Yeah. I'm telling you, when you figure out that when an artist makes an album that is very conceptualized in their own minds, that's when you're gonna figure out, like.
Yeah. Again, I gotta definitely do that.
It's all good. You got a lot of time.
Yeah.
That's what makes me really optimistic about my age and the time that we're living through.
Dude, I feel like that's one of the most powerful, like, being able to realize your mortality at a young age, I think, is one of the most powerful things, like, a human could go through. Like, because, like, once you truly grasp that idea that you're really only here for a limited amount of time, all those hours you spend wasting on TikTok and Instagram, and, like, you realize that is like sad. Like, it's actually, like, a sad thing. You were one of the millions of sperm that actually made it. And, like, imagine all.
And you're scrolling.
Yeah, you're scrolling
for hours.
Yeah, just wasting your existence. So once people, like, can truly grasp that idea, I feel like it's one of the most powerful things. Because, like, I don't really know when I figured that one out, but I figured it out, and, like, I just realized so much about
When
myself.
did you realize that? Because I really manifest that.
Yeah, I don't...
The idea that, like... And I'm grateful, because, like, listening to Alan Watts... I have this lecture series that I listen to. It's called Out of Your Mind. Yeah. And I listened to it all the way through over, like, a long period of time. And the last couple lectures, and especially with the Midnight Gospel, it really, because the last episode was a conversation that Duncan had with his mom 3 weeks before she died from cancer.
Yeah, sorry, dude, the Naval Academy's calling me.
Should I pause?
No, it's fine. I forgot to respond to him on an email.
Sorry, are you gonna go to the Naval Academy after?
Not. Like, no, I'm not. It doesn't even really matter.
You mentioned the Army, though.
Air Force.
Air Force.
Yeah, I'm doing Air Force. Anyways, go on. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay, but the main idea is, like, it was this really, like, expressive, emotional conversation that he had with his mom. And his mom is really into the Buddhist philosophies and that way of life. Yeah. And that self-analyzation. Yeah. And the conversation that they had, Duncan was, like, he was really, like, starting this process of grief, as well as, like, a real manifestation of his own mortality.
Yeah. No, I actually remember how I realized this. I had, like, an existential crisis, like a full-on, like, existential crisis for, like, a couple days.
Tell me about it.
Well, it started with something, but like, it was the craziest experience, like, ever, but it, like, really messed with my brain, and it just really got my brain turning about, like, a lot, like, just death, really, and what happens after, and just, like, I've noticed that before that time I was really scared of the idea, but that time kind of forced me to, like, really think about it. And it was so, like, painful and scary at the time, but eventually I got through it, and it's probably been one of the most, like, powerful experiences for me, because I just learned, like, so much about your mortality, just human mortality. I'd say it's
what were the thoughts that spurred it? Like, what were the questions you were asking?
Well, there was a lot of stuff going on. There was just, like, a lot of negativity in my life at the time. And I think it just really just, like, almost exploded. It was, like, a big explosion. I just reached, like, a whole
How long
next
ago
level
was this?
Low.
If you don't mind me asking.
It's fine. It's sophomore year. I think it was the beginning of my sophomore year. The end of sophomore year. So
you lived your life with this mentality for a while, then?
I hadn't even really realized it. Well, because, like, religion protects you. I had always just, like, grown up with that kind of mindset. It protects you.
Also, I feel it protects you, and for many, I'm not saying personally you, but I feel for many it gives you a cop-out.
It keeps you ignorant.
Yeah. It's like... Ricky, in this conversation that I'm gonna have you listen to,
mm-hmm.
Ricky Gervais said this thing that he wrote as a joke in this show Afterlife that he has, and he said, and she said, well, he was having this conversation with this girl,
mm-hmm.
and he said, well, I don't believe in God, and she said, well, then what created the universe? And sorry, I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
But what he said was, the girl said, well, God made the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, well, who made God? And she said, well, God's always been around. And he said, oh, it's that simple then?
Yeah. Even I wouldn't have taken that approach with that argument. I would have said, put yourself in the shoes of a 1400s peasant and think about, like, what makes us. And then they'd say, like, God, but now we know. Like, we know that now. It just takes time. So, like...
To know?
Yeah, well, it takes time to know. Yeah, we're just not at that point yet. Maybe one day
it takes time to know that God made us?
No. Okay, so I probably misphrased that. Let's rethink this. So, like... so...
You're good, bro.
Hundreds of
brain fog's not that thick, right?
No. I was looking at the voicemail. I even left a voicemail. Huh? Anyways, I'm in trouble.
The army's coming after you?
Yeah, they're gonna kill me.
You're good, bro. You'll figure it out.
Anyway, let me rephrase that. So, like, hundreds of years ago, we had no idea, like, where we were in the universe. Like, we thought...
We were just like...
That we were geocentrism. We were just in the center of the universe. Yeah, exactly. But eventually, like, we had no idea. Just like how we have no idea, like, what created the universe.
Or
but
what AI
now
will
we
be.
do. Now we do know.
What? The
like,
Big
now
Bang?
we do... No. Now we do know, like, that we're not geocentric. Like, we actually have a good idea of what's going on.
Uh-huh.
So I just don't think we're at that level yet.
So because of knowing that other people before us had these questions that weren't answered, that we can live our lives with in a way where it's like we know that the answers are still possible.
Yeah.
That's exactly cool.
Yeah. You gotta look at history and realize, like, what makes us so much more knowledgeable now than really then, when we don't even have a true idea of what, like,
the internet,
knowing everything is.
The internet, man.
Yeah.
It's...
But, like,
Childish Gambino's album, Because of the Internet, it's woke shit. It's woke shit. Listen to the whole thing, dude. Because, like, everything is just, like, it's gonna happen because of the internet.
Yeah.
Do you understand how weird of a point in human existence this is?
Yeah, it's
looking at history.
Weird. Well, if you think of the way
eerie.
I see it,
it's eerie.
My empirical scientific brain sees it as, like, kind of like a graph, like a parabola. It's not a parabola.
Do you have a girlfriend?
Like, me? No.
I hope that a girl that really likes you listens to this.
Yeah, that'll be special. Well, I think I'll find something like that at MIT. All those.
That's the same way I feel about Cal Poly.
Yeah.
I my decision was between Cal Poly and San Francisco State, and I'll say it and I'll say it again. I just didn't want to sell myself short. Yeah. I feel like Cal Poly is a better school.
It is, and you're gonna have a fucking blast.
It's just so beautiful.
Yeah.
And it's really like warmer.
It's in such a nice area.
And it's not like gonna be foggy every day. Like San Francisco has my heart and soul, just because I love the culture. But I just didn't want to sell myself short.
The only issue with Cal Poly is you're still gonna be kind of stuck in that type of bubble culture.
That's facts, but I'm already out.
Yeah.
Like the internet has allowed me. Of course, I'm not out because I don't live in like fucking Southside Chicago. Yeah. Like I'm not in their bubble. Yeah. Right? Or their lack of a bubble. Yeah. Their reality. Their reality. Yeah. But I feel as if being in the philosophy department and being around people that have similar mindsets to what I want to create in my vision. Because I have vision. And that's something that I feel will separate me from others, is I have more of a conceptualized vision of what I want. And I feel other people at Cal Poly have similar drive.
Especially in your department. But,
dude.
So I had an interview.
They have classes where it's like AI ethics.
That's dope. I had an interview for Air Force ROTC. And the guy majored in philosophy and math. And I found that, like, so interesting. Like, why those two?
They're very opposites.
So anyways, I asked him, I'm like, why philosophy and math? And he's like, and I went in, because, like, I had been doing a pretty good amount of, like, research on philosophy. I'd kind of been into it at the time. And I was like, so you guys must have had, like, super deep talks and stuff like that if you, like, majored in it. And he's like, yes, but the thing with philosophy is it really teaches you how to formulate questions that, like, no one else would really... Like, the power of formulating a question is, like, it has... It's a lot of people don't really realize how powerful just the formulation of a question really is. Like... I forget someone... I
think a good question is better than any good answer.
Yeah.
True. No. Like in my core.
Better questions get better ansers.
That's true.
I had such a good example.
Let me while you think about that, let me say something.
I'm not going to be able to remember.
Lajali's brother said he's a philosophy major at Santa Barbara. Yeah. And he said this thing. He said, because he's a philosophy major as well, he said, philosophy is the creation of concepts. Yeah. And art is the representation of concepts. Yeah. Isn't that interesting to think about? Yeah. Like, no, that's really cool to me.
Yeah, but that opened my mind. Like, you're probably going to love philosophy because you're going to actually, like, really know how to ask those questions.
There's this thing that they have called Ethics Bowl. Yeah. Which is, like, I mean, you know, like, how geography bowls work, spelling, like, it's just, it's a whole competition where they give you a side and you have to formulate the best, most logical argument. Mm-hmm. That just, like, that really piques my attention. They had a virtual open house for the philosophy department, and I talked to some of these professors.
Yeah. The problem with me, cool. I find that stuff interesting, but the problem with me is I, like, always look at, like, both sides, and I'll get so stuck just, like, counter-arguing my own argument, and then, like, I just get stuck, and I never actually come up with an argument. So, but, like, other people aren't.
But I feel like if you practice,
if I practice, I could get a lot better. But I'm just more interested in
other stuff,
physics and math and stuff like that.
Perfectly valid. Yeah, perfectly valid.
No, but you'll love that. Yeah, that's what you're into. That's
and I'm gonna make movies like that. I'm gonna make movies that are, like, philosophy driven.
And, like...
that are trying to, like, open people's minds to, like, the hypocrisy.
And do me a favor and make movies. Do you know what the word ambiguous means?
Yeah. Up to interpretation.
kind of
like,
just like unexact,
multiple
exactly.
in person.
Make ambiguous movies for me.
Fuck yeah!
Dude.
I'll make ambiguous as fuck.
There
movies.
are so many movies that like the Marvel movies. They're cool and all, but it's just always like a good and a bad, and it's just like
it's so predictable.
It irks me.
I agree with you, dude. It's brainwashing. I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's like.
But you want to know what made Infinity War such a good concept? I never
actually saw Infinity War.
The beautiful thing about Infinity War is that they made Thanos have a justifiable cause.
No, yeah, I agree. And
the thing is, because he was like, humanity, like you said, it's a virus.
Yeah.
We like, all we do is take and use resources. Like, did you know that the U.S. has about a sixth of the world's population and uses 25% of the resources?
A sixth?
Isn't that lower? Isn't that an interesting statistic?
I think it's way lower than a sixth. Or no.
We have about 6% of the world's population here.
Not 6%. You said a 6. 6%?
6%. 6%.
6%, yeah.
Yeah, so we have 6% of the world's population, and we use 25% of its resources. Think about that, dude.
That's an interesting statistic. That's crazy.
Crazy, right? Yeah. We feel so entitled.
Yeah, well, that's like infamous with Americans, bro. I gotta take another piss.
All right. Well, we'll be right back. Or I'll just, we'll be right back. Yeah. So 25%, John. It's rolling again.
Oh, okay.
25%. How does that make you feel?
I'm not really surprised.
You want to know what it is, dude? Americans feel entitled to their desires. One thing that I've really taken away from listening to Duncan Trussell's mom is she put forward this concept in my mind of the difference between love and attachment. Because I feel like as a concept, so the concept of just us feeling entitled to our everything is just fucked up. But what I learned from Duncan Trussell's mom is that us as a culture, we never really deciphered the difference between love and attachment. Because when you look at your parents from a young age, you never really ask yourself, are my parents attached to each other or do they love each other? Right?
Bro, that is so fucking deep. Holy. Well, I mean, I've like listened to stuff or scientists talk about the idea of like monogamy is kind of like not natural. And like that's like a direct connection right there. Like we're kind of built to be somewhat polygamous.
That's so interesting, because that's what the Hindus believe, too.
Really?
Yeah, because hella people in India have, like, 3 wives.
Well, it makes sense, because, like, evolutionarily, like, that makes perfect sense. We're supposed to be just, like, going around
fucking people.
Our seed and
right,
shit.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's so interesting, because, like, that's really true, because I know a lot of couples will just get stuck with each other. They're just attached instead of...
They become dependent. They become dependent on the idea of someone else needing them.
That's crazy.
Isn't it?
That makes perfect sense, because that's not just like, that's like a lot of places.
It's a lot of manipulation. And a lot of relationships devolve because of that manipulation.
Yeah. Well, it might just be unnatural to actually like love someone for that long,
and
which is kind of depressing if you really think about that, dude. But
I think that there's some form of like true love. Like I believe in that, and I hope I find that in my life, but like I haven't found it yet.
I think it's just very, very difficult. Like I think it's very hard.
Something that
and that's the problem with like movies and stuff, dude. They glorify it. Easy.
They make it seem so easy. Yeah. That's what 500 Days of Summer is a really good movie. Because it's really realistic. You should watch that one, because it's Zooey Deschanel and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and it's this girl that doesn't believe in true love. Yeah. But he does, and he believes that he's found it, but she doesn't. And it's a really realistic story, and it's very like it made me cry a little bit. But
I don't know, dude, because like even with a movie like that, like that's only a couple hours. Like when you marry someone, that's your life.
But
that is a couple hours times like a lot.
When you marry the concept of marriage as a structure is pretty strange.
Yeah. Well, it's really good for stability and like children, and like children need a sense of stability. But what you're saying about
it's unrealistic.
It's interesting. So in the book, I was reading how they think that a lot of tribes back in the day were like communal. So like basically the guys would go to like whatever girl and the girl would go to like whatever guy, and they just make a bunch of like babies, and like they just all take care of the kids. You're just like communal stability.
So it was like your community is your family.
Yeah, exactly. Which sounds like...
It sounds far-fetched to us as Americans.
There's no way we'd ever be able to do something like that.
If you think about what humans were founded off, these hunter-gatherer societies,
that's what
That's real shit.
That is like thousands and thousands of years of evolution that have like developed us to be like that. But now with technology and our brains, our creativity has totally just like accelerated that process.
It's broken the boundaries for what's possible.
Yeah, and it's kind of conflicting. It's conflicting our genes and our brains.
But so let me put forward this idea for you, okay? So I feel truly that the idea of differentiating between love and attachment can be really applied to all aspects of life. Because if you think of like a goal. Like, think of like a life goal, right? If you become so attached to that life goal, but you don't love it, then you're fucked, right?
Yeah.
But if you love a life goal, but you're not attached to it, it loses meaning.
Yeah.
So I feel the true meaning, like finding meaning in all of this, is really deciphering in your own life as you evolve and your mind expands. Is just finding that balance between attachment and love. Because if you love an idea, as much as you're attached to it, that's passion. That's what real passion is.
That's powerful, dude, because you'll actually go somewhere with that, like, instead of, bro, where'd you hear that from?
Duncan Trussell's mom. 3 weeks before she died.
That's some wise shit right
I feel
there.
So grateful that
that is wise,
right?
Like, everyone listening, dude, that is like,
I believe
that's some high quality information.
I believe that shit, dude.
That makes perfect sense. And
as a quick transition, there was a member of the Wu-Tang Clan. There's a member of the Wu-Tang Clan that felt so controlled by his desire to have sex with random women that he took it upon himself to cut off his own dick.
Dude, I could never imagine doing
Neither could I.
So,
but he was so overwhelmed by not understanding the difference between love and attachment that he felt that he needed to assert control over his own life by cutting off his own dick.
Eliminating lust.
That's woke shit, right?
Yeah.
When
when
Lajali said that to me, I kind of interpreted it as that's insane.
Yeah.
But when you realize why,
I mean, it's kind of insane, too.
It is insane, okay? It's a little crazy. It's a lot crazy.
Yeah.
But the premise.
Yeah.
The premise is wise.
Yeah. I'm just trying to put myself in that position.
What do you think about love and attachment? Because it makes sense, right?
So I totally agree with what you just said, but yeah, people need to realize that finding that is incredibly difficult, especially for it to be both ways.
It takes hard work.
For it to be both ways. So if you want to apply some math to that, there's a very small chance that you would be able to... I mean, there's a very small chance for you to find love. There's a pretty small chance for you to become attached. Makes an even smaller chance for both those to be balanced.
Equilibrium.
And then you have to multiply that by itself because it has to happen twice. It has to be on both parties.
That's why I feel that
is
in this desire for love that we all feel.
Yeah. A
lot of it has to do with timing.
Yeah.
And nailing it at the right circumstances.
It's just so hard, dude. It is.
It's when you really think about it, it's nearly impossible.
Yeah. It really is. And that's the problem.
But you have to strive for it. You have to strive for it. And you have to live for it.
Yeah, you can't lose hope because there is hope.
There's always hope.
Hard as fuck.
Hope is like what drives us. Like our hope.
Oh, yeah. Once you lose hope, dude.
Once you lose hope, you have nothing.
Yeah.
That's facts.
Dude, that love and attachment thing is kind of blowing my mind, though. That makes perfect sense.
I hope, because it fucking blew my mind.
Yeah, god damn.
Like, I heard this a week ago.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how I'm feeling?
Old people, dude.
They're wise.
Quite wise. I mean, it makes sense.
Dude, you want to know? I really hope you, everybody listening to this, go look up Duncan Trussell, My Mom, Part 2. It was published in 2013. And it was this really spiritual experience. Like, this mother, 3 weeks away from death, talking to her child. Like, that's so real. And what she talked about was, like, she was, like, this idea of enlightenment that everybody talks about. Like, awoken. Like, you see through the game of life.
Yeah. I forget
what it is, like, she's been, like, searching for that. Like, she's obviously, like, read into a lot of these things, and she's looked for that. And then one morning, she just woke up and was, like, reading a book and, like, started writing. And she just, like, she was, like, because her goal in life was to, like, to see the absolute truth. The absolute. Like, this idea of the absolute. And so so get this. So she said that, and she said, I'm looking for this. But then realized she had already found it.
Yeah.
And it was such a profound moment.
It's recording.
Yeah. And it was such a profound moment for her to realize that. It's something we don't think about.
Yeah.
It's something you don't, like, because when searching for attachment, if you search for something, it's such a complex game that we play with ourselves. Because if you search for that love, and if you are searching for that attachment, and if you're searching for the balance even, you're not going to find it.
Yeah, you're not.
Because you have to not look for it. It has to come to you.
I think, you're getting down to, like, philosophies on life. I think one of my biggest philosophies is, I feel like I've pretty much found what, like, I really love and, like, what I am attached to. That's, like, STEM type stuff. And I'm lucky that I've actually found that so early. So now that I'm lucky, I think I found that, I'm going to strive for that because I know that is a secure, like, passion of mine. And I'm just going to let, like, love and attachment, like, regarding another, like, my spouse or something, just to kind of come along. You can't
because you have to focus more on the self.
Dude. Yeah.
You have to focus on yourself because you can't control other. And as soon as you accept that you can't control other than yourself, that's when you're going to realize that other just is a matter of time.
One of the most important things I've ever learned is that you can't, like, this is a big old cliche, but you can't love others until you love yourself. I realized
my dad taught me that from when I was 3 years old, from when I was born.
I had to figure that one out all by myself, and once I figured it out, I'm like, bro, like,
I'm truly grateful for my dad for that.
Yeah.
Because, like, that's real shit. Like, when you realize, like, because he was like, who do you love? Like, he would always ask me these questions. He would say, who do you love? I say, I love Mom. I love Abby. I love you. And he's like, but who do you need to love? And I'm like, me. Like, as this little 3-year-old.
Yeah, well, it shows in your personality, dude. It shows. And, yeah. Some people just get lucky in certain senses, and that's something.
It's true.
That's definitely something to be thankful for.
But, like, cause, like, what is luck though? Like, am I lucky that I got these, like, good parents and, like, this good neighborhood? Like, is that luck? Like, what is that?
I think that's luck. I think we're all, everyone
is
that is in the neighborhood is lucky.
So fate is all bullshit and it's all just luck. Like, there's no, like, fate that decides, like, what is what and where is where. It's all just like this mysterious thing called luck.
I think so.
I think there's no really other way to look at it.
I think it's just luck.
If you call it God, if you call it fate, if you call it the spirit, if you call it the truth, like, it's really just luck.
I think it's luck. The fact that we're living where we live, I think that is just luck.
The fact that we were born into the internet.
Yeah. Well, that is for some people that is not beneficial at all.
The internet?
The internet.
Because it's brainwashing. So you're so right.
The internet is the biggest double-edged sword like ever in like the history of humanity. Like it can be so incredibly negative, but like
so overwhelmingly positive. Yeah. I think about it and I've asked my friends, like, would you rather grow up without the internet?
Yeah. No. No. So I used to think that I would rather grow up without the internet. But once you learn how to navigate, it's like a whole other world. We're born into a society that has to learn how to deal with a completely different realm. And that's just what we're born into. And if you can figure out how to like properly navigate that world, it is so positive. It is so incredibly positive.
Let me tell you what my takeaways were from this movie Nightcrawler that I watched last night. Right. Okay? Nightcrawlers, I think. So the premise of the movie is that capitalism is the antagonist as a whole. And eventually, capitalism wins. Mm-hmm. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, it's fine.
However, it's about the way that the internet has shaped us and desensitized us. Yeah. Those themes and that isolationism, but also like understanding that like you have the potential to rise through the ranks of this society, this capitalistic society that we have, knowing that you have the ability to rise through that, and that all the information that you could seek or desire is all in one place. Like it's literally on your phone.
It is.
It's literally
on
your phone. It's literally at your fingertips. You just have to type in the right things.
Yeah.
Like,
dude, I have such a good. Okay, yeah, go on.
Yeah, you go.
Oh, dude, so I was watching this comedy bit, and the guy was talking about porn and talking about how like kids have access to porn, stuff like that, and he's like, dude, like, you can't blame them, like, they literally have tits in their pocket, and I thought about it, like, I didn't even think about it, like, that is such an interesting way of, like, phrasing that, like, that is so true, they basically fucking, like...
You should watch Don John, too. That's another suggestion, you're gonna have a lot to do after this, but Don John, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, the guy from 500 Days of Summer, wrote and directed it.
Yeah.
ScarJo.
Dude, you gotta send me all this.
I will. Don't worry. You can listen back to it too. Yeah.
But he's right. Like he's actually right when he says that. I mean,
it's so true. Like, I don't know what I was gonna say.
But no, and that was such an interesting way of looking at it, and. It's facts. We have
because you can get addicted to that. You can get like the internet allows us to get so addicted so easily because we get addicted to social media. Access. We get addicted to that need for other to justify our actions.
Yeah.
We have a Kanye West said it best, bro. Mm-hmm. I was on the gram and I don't even like likes. Like you get addicted and you can't even control it.
And I'd like to do some research on why.
That's what I'm gonna look into. Why. Philosophy. A lot of what I'm gonna study is the why film, the why of the brainwashing. Yeah. Why are we so susceptible?
Yeah.
Why are we so flimsy?
Yeah.
Why are we so fragile?
Well, again, the idea of malleability when we're young and, like, just in general, it's a double-edged sword. It can be used for good and it can be used for bad. It's like, this kind of brings it full circle how when you were talking about the pessimistic view of, like, America and stuff, there's, like, always a positive, there's always a negative way of looking at things. So...
I like to look at I hold on to hope. Yeah. I'm attached and I love hope.
Yeah.
Because I think without it, like we're nothing.
I think you can use the positive and the negative ways. You can use positive and negative interpretations as tools,
as means to inform yourself.
Yeah, negative to like kind of inform yourself, positive to be more like hopeful, and you need both of it.
everything in life is about balance, dude.
Yeah.
Thanos should have won.
Yeah.
If Marvel was intelligent and like a good studio at making movies, they would have had Thanos win, bro.
That would have been. I still. It's on Netflix now. I was gonna watch it, but
it's a pretty interesting movie. He's just like, humanity is a plague. They're gonna kill themselves. I need to kill half the population.
Read that book that I'm reading, The Humans or
Sapiens?
The Sapiens.
It sounds interesting, dude.
Dude, no, like literally, there's a chapter where.
Yo, can we? Okay,
yeah, we kind of brought it full circle right there. That's fine, but anyways, with the Sapiens, you literally place the word sapiens or humans and put it in with a virus or something.
Like a tornado.
It's literally a fucking virus. But yeah, what I was just saying, that brings it full circle.
It's unnatural.
Yeah.
Like, is weather unnatural?
Well, then you could talk about the idea of natural. What is natural?
I love the conversation what is it?
Dude, I think everything's natural.
And because we're natural, right? Like, how do you differ man-made versus natural if we like grew out of the universe?
Yeah.
If we grew out of the universe,
the wires and resistors, everything in our phones and everything, it's all just natural. Like, we have electric synapses going on in our heads, similar to like
what I love is like, episode 3 of the Midnight Gospel kind of opened my eyes to that. Like, there's a reason oral traditions are called oral traditions, because they're spoken. It's spoken word.
Yeah.
And it's like how we communicate. Oral meaning like an oral way of communicating. Like, our words have power. Like, our words have frequency in them.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that I like, that I also took with me from the Midnight Gospel as like, wow, like it's
kind of that extra texture, kind of like what we were talking about.
Yeah, extra. It gives life a little bit more texture.
It's more texture than just
knowing that
words.
Yeah, that's what music is, dude. It's a little. It's giving words a little bit more texture and context.
Yeah. So oral tradition stuff that's more texture than the phones, like just typed words. Music's more texture than the oral word, and then
dude, can I run by a coronavirus conspiracy that I have by you?
Yeah, sure.
So I believe that Bill Gates, along with the Chinese government, created coronavirus.
I think...
Like, I don't believe it. Like, I don't believe it because obviously there's not enough evidence or proof.
Yeah.
But, like, I theorize that it's a genuine possibility.
I theorize that it leaked from that lab. Because there was a lab right next to that food market. Yeah, there's history of like leaks going on in like the Soviet Union too, and they just hushed it.
Can you believe that? What was Chernobyl? Can you believe that existed?
Dude, that's crazy.
Like, they were just like, nuclear reactor melted down, and now everything is mutated.
Yeah.
Don't tell anyone.
Yeah, seriously. Well, that was this fucking Soviet.
Don't tell anyone. You tell anyone, we kill you. Just kidding, HBO. You could make a good show about it. But so my theory.
Yeah.
You're not interested to hear me build off that.
I want to hear you. I want to hear your arguments.
So let me riff. Okay, let me riff a little bit.
Yeah.
The concept is, China is a bunch of geniuses. They figured out how to brainwash their citizens, and they figured out a way to implement a society where the betterment of their citizens was the priority and not profit. However, they have a lot of conflicting ideologies in the top government where profit is the number one concern. That's a lot what Mao Zedong, or what's the president's name?
I don't know.
President Mao.
Yeah, it's like it's a conflict between capitalism and communism.
Yes, it's a very interesting government that they have, and Paul Jin has told me a lot about. Yeah. This is kind of where my interest has peaked.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel the Chinese are a lot smarter than we're giving them credit for, because I feel like they realize that America is a bunch of idiots. Paul Jin shows me Chinese TikTok. They like, Trump is their humor. Like, they laugh at him. They have videos where it's translated, and they're just like laughing.
Yeah.
They're like, oh my god, this is so funny.
No,
you know?
But okay. I understand. I think, so I forget where I heard this from, but I can't remember. But anyways, I feel like America, like the Silicon Valley and all, because we're so, what's the word? because we're so like independent and we believe in freedom like we do, that also manifests in our like thought and our creativity,
in our culture, in our politics.
We're much more creative, and we're the people
That's
that
facts.
like kind of come up with the ideas. But I mean, so we have that creativity aspect, but they may be more intelligent in the sense that they can, like, academically.
They figured it out.
Yeah,
they figured it out.
I think they're very intelligent. I think they're more intelligent in general than us in certain aspects. But I also
intelligence
think
is subjective.
Yeah,
so what kind of intelligence are you talking about?
I don't know.
Like genuine, like science smarts.
I think stuff like that, just because like the way
philosophical thoughts. Because China is run on
philosophical.
It's more philosophy. Their government is more run by philosophy than religion.
I think they are more philosophically intelligent. I think they're a little bit more like academically, just the way their school system works. It's so much more competitive.
Very
and stuff
true.
Like that.
Very true.
I think they're smarter in that sense, but I think we're smarter in the way we like our freedom of thought.
Yeah,
I think that's
so
way more beneficial.
I feel like if there was a government that was like a mix of China and America,
it would be
that
fucking
would be
badass.
It would be like a utopia.
Yeah, it would
but
be...
human nature.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
We can't
find
we can't find the equilibrium.
Yeah.
That's all it is. So let me run you down this idea, okay? So the Chinese government realized that our world is going in a direction where climate change is not going to be solved unless they intervene.
Mm-hmm.
So they realized that the whole world is going to kill itself unless they take a little bit of action. So they realized, and they thought about this, and they said, how can we kill two birds with one stone? How can we make a virus that is deadly enough to where everybody's going to freak out, but not deadly enough to where the whole world's going to collapse? Because they realized that they have a more of a authoritarian rule over their society where America did not. So they thought about this. They said, how can we fix the world while also ending up with us on top? So they thought about this. They said, America is a bunch of idiots. America is a bunch of rednecks that are going to protest staying inside for a month. What China did to slow down everything, they said they monitor everything.
Yeah.
They monitor everything. So they said, so even if they saw somebody step outside, they're arrested. Boom. Done. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So what they did with that is they used their power to subdue the virus. However, it spread. And what they knew that was going to happen. So they said, let's allow it to spread. And the U.S. is going to have such a conflict of interest because it's so big, our ideologies are so very conflicting.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have such like a Republican, Democrat, we're so different.
Yeah.
Like it's such a we're
polarized right now.
We're at such a polarized. That's the right word.
Yeah.
It's such a polarizing, such a foundationally different like ideologies across the nation.
Yeah.
They realize this. They say, guess who's going to be able to come out of this on top? China.
Yeah.
Guess who's going to suffer? America.
No, that's true.
And guess the reason Bill Gates was in there, let me finish this theory and then I want to hear what you have to think or to say. Bill Gates predicted this 5 years ago. Did you see that TED Talk where
I heard that.
He went on a TED Talk 5 years ago and was like, the world is not ready for a pandemic. If this happens, we're fucked. Here's what we need to do to prepare. Mm-hmm. That's what the TED Talk was. And so he has
a charity foundation. Like he's probably
he's awesome.
Yeah, no,
like he's a
that's
great.
That's probably why he said that. He was probably advertising his own like foundation.
He was, dude, because I feel like a lot of billionaires, any CEO is a psychopath.
Almost, yeah.
1 in 6, like that's a statistic. Yeah. 1 in 6 CEOs are genuine, certifiable psychopaths.
I can see that.
And so Bill Gates, he's not exempt. You have that much money, you're gonna be a little crazy.
Yeah.
So what I feel that he did is he's like, how can I use this Chinese ideology to fuel my own agenda? And his agenda is very positive. He wants to propel society. He wants to...
This is such a conspiracy theory.
Isn't it interesting, though?
It's interesting, yeah.
Okay, if you're listening to this, I don't believe this. I don't believe this. I'm just trying to connect things that I see. So get this, John. Get this. This is the kicker that really drives it home. Bill Gates, right? He realizes that if he has more money, he can use it to influence the world how he wants to. Mm-hmm. The more money you have, the more influence you have, the more power you have. So what he thinks, this is what he thinks. Because John Mose, guess what the workforce is going to be like after this? All online.
Yeah.
Guess what Zoom has proved?
What?
A lot of companies can function through the internet.
Humans can't, though.
Humans can't. Yeah. And that's where the big divide is.
Yeah.
However, this whole thing is a game. It's a game of proving that society can work on the internet. So guess what? Guess who's going to need computers now?
Dude, where did
everyone. I just thought of it.
You thought of this?
I thought of this.
Dude, okay, that you connected, I can see that. I just doubt that's true, but that makes perfect sense.
I doubt that it's true.
Yeah,
but obviously I don't believe it because there's no proof of it. But I mean, think about it.
That makes perfect sense. It does make sense.
Think about it, bruh.
Yeah.
Think about it.
How did you think of that?
I just like it seemed a little bit sus. Like I read into 5G a little bit and just like. Because they wanted to make a way for us to be more connected.
Yeah.
And it's like, what way to get us more connected than forcing us to all be at home?
Yeah.
It's some sus shit going on.
Yeah.
Kind of makes you think, though. What are you thinking about? Like, you're kind of like quiet. Yeah. You're a little sighing.
I mean, the points you made were very good ones. It's just like, I don't know. I could see. I think what I believe is everything you said is like some, or not everything, but a lot of the things you said were right, but it wasn't intentional. None of I don't think.
You think it all happened by chance?
I think
luck. It was just luck that this just happened to strike now, right?
Yeah. Right
during an election year.
Yeah, but look back 100 years from now, the same thing kind of happened. In 100 years from then. Same thing also kind of happened. History
I don't believe itself. To this scale, however.
No.
So
it was worse. What do you mean? The Spanish flu.
The Spanish flu was like fucked.
Yeah.
Like that was just that was.
I'm pretty sure
that was just like the Spanish flu was just proof that this like exists.
No, pandemics are actually very like. So I was listening to this podcast and the guy was saying how they're actually more worried about influenza still. Like the all this has really done is brought to light the possibility of like pandemics and like epidemics and disease and how dangerous they really are.
Yeah.
It's hard to really know that.
It's hard to wrap your head around.
Yeah,
it.
But like once you're
We're living
it,
through
now
it.
we actually. But I think it's really by chance. To be honest, and I think it's just affecting the world in the way it's affecting it because we're living in the world.
Do you think that China could have prevented it more than they did?
Yeah, I think they could have. But
they also like could have had a lab that wasn't so close to food.
I think that negligence too.
I
don't think it was from any like conspiracy. I think it was just because they wanted to look better. They wanted to look like they were in more control.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they could have released this purposely just to like demonstrate that they have more power over their people.
They could have, but
like
it's unlikely.
In January? Okay, so when this whole thing went,
their economy.
Not as much as us. We're fucked, John.
Yeah,
we're fucked.
Dude, if you want to get into that and like this whole quarantine stuff,
you're going to a private university?
Yeah. What?
They're going to be the first to go.
What do you mean?
I mean, they don't get funding from the government.
Oh yeah, we'll see.
So they can spike tuition.
Well, my tuition's free, so I don't have to worry. I know that's why I'm fine. I'm literally chilling.
How's your tuition free?
The military, dude.
How did you get involved in the military?
I mean, that was kind of the thing. I knew I couldn't really afford college, so I had to look at other ways of affording it, and the military was my savior. They gave me a full ride.
Wow.
Yeah, so
you're gonna study and then go directly into the military to help design
for 5 years, and then I have to be on the reserves for 3 years. But
So wait, so you signed something that says after college I'm gonna work for the military for 5
I
years.
had to apply for a scholarship through the military. I got that scholarship, and then I have to sign something. I probably already signed it, that says I'm gonna do my 4 years in my major. Wow. And then I have to commission into the military.
So fascinating.
And that could mean that they actually pay for my it depends. They could actually pay for my higher education after that.
Graduate school?
Yeah, it depends though. It really depends. It's kind of.
That's fascinating. But that's really interesting.
Yeah, I realized that I was kind of fucked, like, financially. So
you're like,
I was like, yeah, military, it's the move. And it provides you with a job right after college, which is
what do you want to do in the military? Like, what's your
I don't
goal?
know yet. I was thinking about being a pilot. I was really debating being a pilot for, like, one of those, like, big planes.
Is it wrong to ask why? Like, what's your interest in being a pilot?
Just cool, dude.
It is cool.
It's
like,
cool.
no, like, that's literally
cool.
Top Gun is one of, like, my favorite.
I have never
most
seen
influential
that
movie. Best soundtrack of any movie of all time. Tom Cruise is a sexy bitch, and his relationship he formed with Goose, truly heartbreaking story. Like, it's just a good movie. Like, it's a little bit military propaganda because, I mean, like, what are you gonna do? It's America, right? But, like, it was totally, like, anti-Russian.
Dude, what I like propaganda. To do is I like to read through the American government book we have and just try to find the way they phrase things, just to try to find the brainwash in the book, and, like, the way they, like, portray communism and stuff.
Yeah,
like, subtly.
It's so interesting. They subtly are like. That's what I learned. I took econ online,
mm-hmm.
and all of it was totally subtle. Like,
yeah,
it was totally like we notice it.
Yeah.
We notice shit like that.
Yeah.
Dude, but what it John, I wanted to ask you, how do you study?
How do I study?
Yeah, how do you study?
Practice, dude. Like I've had a few decisive moments, I think. So, one of them was, like, my sophomore year. I was, like, really scared to take AP Euro because, like, I had no idea what I was going into, and it just seemed like AP class, like, oh, scheisse.
Yeah.
This is about to be crazy.
But you're like, gotta get that GPA, baby.
I just took it. Like, I just took a leap of faith. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna see how this goes. And that class was one of the most influential classes because it taught me how to study. So,
Mr. Doherty?
No, Mr. Cook. Because he never teach anything. So we had to, like, take a bunch of notes. I mean, that's just kind of how AP history classes
Was he a good teacher?
Yeah, he's a dope guy. I love Mr. Cook. But, anyways, that was kind of the class where I learned my thing. My thing was I just sit down and I put on some music. I like classical music. Classical music, dude, really, really makes you focus.
Stanley Kubrick has really opened my eyes to the power of classical music.
And I just look up Chopin. Trust me, he's banging. Anyways, Chopin.
I'll look it up.
Anyways, so that class, like, I figured out that the way I work is I put some music like that on, and I just took it, like, one page at a time. You can't look at the end goal. You gotta take it incrementally.
You gotta break it down into little pieces.
Yeah, and you just kind of do that, and you find the interest in it. You can't just, like, memorize it.
Yeah, you gotta be interested in it.
Yeah, I love that. You gotta find what's interesting, and that's probably cool. That's probably my best study advice. Be interested in it.
That's why math is, like, torture for me to study.
Yeah.
Because I'm so bored of it. Like, it's just so stupid.
Some people just don't, yeah.
Like, pre-calculus was the hardest class I took in high school.
Pre-calc is hard.
Pre-calc A period.
Pre-calc is harder than calc.
It made me hate life.
Yeah.
And Mr. Singh did not help.
Mr. Singh.
Like, bruh, like, I'm not kidding you. Like, but, so for me personally, so you never really answered my question, though. So, like, when you study, it's like hours of like you read the books, like you read your notes, like.
Yeah. I mean, it's nothing super special. I don't think. The only thing that kind of makes it special is I'm interested in what I do.
Are you more so? The interest is how you study.
The interest. That's the main driver.
For me, I'm a very audio learner. That's why podcasts and audiobooks really capture my attention, and they capture my my focus, because I'm a very like audio learning person. Like when I see something, when I hear something, and then I write it down, it really ingrains itself into my brain. Which is like I have the AP Gov test next week, and I haven't studied a wink.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at it. All I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through just different YouTube videos and just of the crash course. Crash course is great, and I listen to what this guy has to say. Like it's very like from the textbook. It's very like facts, and when I hear the facts, like for the AP U.S. history test, like that was the day before it was the day that we had that shooting threat at our school, and I stayed home, and the whole day I just listened to YouTube videos and review videos, and like I was just like I got a 4.
Yeah. Do you like the classes you get the best grades in?
Well, for me, that's a hard question because I don't get bad grades. Like I don't get bad grades in any classes.
Well, everyone gets like a B or like a, unless you got a straight A.
Ask you your question again.
So, are your favorite classes? Are your favorite classes the classes you get the best grades in? And this is a question for everyone listening.
Okay, so personally, like the classes that I found the most interesting last year, like I found chemistry with Mr. Sandusky very interesting, and I didn't get the best grade just because it was hard and it was challenging. And I think it's similar to psychology. I'm taking AP psychology this year, and I got like a B last semester. And but like I was okay with that but like it's worse than the rest of the grades I had, because it was harder and it challenged me more. So I feel that the classes that I'm interested in that challenge me, I get worse grades in than the rest of my classes. But like the classes that challenge me that I'm not interested in, example, pre-calculus, I got worse grades in because of those 2 factors. But like that doesn't really apply to me in the sense where it's like my favorite classes I get the worst grades in, because I'm somebody that when I know I have the test the next day, I take the initiative to read whatever I have, like notes that I've heard. And the fact with our education system is it tests us based on, like, incremental learning. Like, finals are kind of bullshit. Yeah. Like, they're kind of very skimming the top, you know? Yeah. So what most of our tests are just very, like, incremental. Like, okay, learn this for 3 weeks. Here's the test. Learn this for 3 weeks. Yeah. So I can kind of pull what I've heard. I literally have missed, like, 5 days of school. Like, my whole high school. So, I don't miss the information that I'm supposed to get, and because of that, I don't need to study other than the night before.
Yeah. Well, I think we have to wrap it up.
Dad's here?
Yeah.
Is he gonna get mad?
No, he's not gonna get mad. It's just cool. He's gonna interrupt.
All right. This was dope.
Yeah, this was dope.
This is cool.
This is hella cool. I'm down to do it again sometime. There's still more stuff I want to talk about.
Fuck yeah, dude. But, do you have anything you'd like to leave with the viewers, the listener? It's pretty weird to think that some people are gonna listen to this.
Yeah, it is kind of weird.
Make sure you post about it on Snapchat. Oh, shit. Brainwash people. He's coming. Okay. Thank you very much for joining me, John Mose. I appreciate it.
I appreciated this. It was fun.
It was cool. And scene.